Periodically we do a report to the church as far as what's going on in the mission, and this is not unlike what the Apostle Paul did. In the book of Acts chapter 14, he says, from Attalia they sailed back to Antioch, where they had been committed to the grace of God for the work they had now completed. On arriving there, they gathered the church together and reported all that God had done through them, and how he had opened the door of faith to the Gentiles. And they stayed there a long time with the disciples. And that is what we have the opportunity. We have made over 85 trips to Jamaica in the last 22 years. And it's kind of hard to boil that all down to all those trips. At one time I counted we had over 700 in our work teams if we add it all up. And I think that's grown to 900 to 1,000 that have gone down to Jamaica to do short-term mission. And it's amazing that whenever you've got 20 in a team and 30 in a team and 15 in a team and sometimes more. 40 was one of the bigger teams. We got 3 years worth of work accomplished in a summer as far as in helping the churches on 3 roofs in that particular project, and it was over $80,000 worth of production in getting some roofs done. This was the beginning of the project. The original building was right in this little room here that is from here, I'm going to say it's probably, that building is about, what, half the size of the auditorium?
Maybe.
We had 70 people jammed in there. And the outhouse was leaning and a Brahma bull was eating wet cardboard out of a burn barrel. That's why you wonder why Jamaica beef tastes so wonderful. It tastes like wet cardboard. But we had about 27 of us from the Grove Park Christian Church come in, and we put in 1, 2, 3 concrete beams in this particular building. And then the guys came back and worked and put in the other 4, so they had 7 concrete beams. And the dirt was up to the bottom of the windows. The goats would climb in, they'd leave goat mess all over everything. So we'd have to, before we had worship, we'd have to get a flat-bladed shovel and shovel goat mess, goat manure out of the church building before we had worship time. And that was typical for every time we had a Wednesday night or Sunday morning. We just had to, until finally we got a front loader in there to knock the dirt down, and we put up a goat gate to keep the goats out. But since that this facility here is 30 by 70, 2,100 square feet. It'll seat that we've had 300 more in here. We put a tent in here. We've had as high as 700 people with a tent beside in this facility. Upstairs is a parsonage, which is now the college. Downstairs is kitchen, bathroom, and offices. And in the back, they built another 3-story building on their own, raised the funds to accommodate. And by this time, they had 230 students. A year ago, they had 230 students. And this is the better shot of the classroom. The college is the old parsonage, which is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. We've taken the living room, dining room, and turned it into the learning center library. And this is the old computer room, and this old computer room is now a series of about 7 or 8 classes. And the upstairs has got about another 6 classes. And this is the 3rd floor up. And the weeds in here aren't anymore. They're putting in an 11,000 square foot 2-story building. It's incredible.
It's all part of the Bible college?
It's all part of ministry that my wife and I have been involved in, and sometimes things go, you start a Bible college, you end up with everything else you're involved in. Because the Bible college, we've only got about 7 to 11 students, maybe a dozen students. At nighttime you can have 16 or 18 students show up. The night classes worked out better for the working people. But you've got really a main nucleus of about 7 or 8 full-time students. It's never been a really big school. But the interesting thing, B, while you're doing A, you end up doing B, C, D, and E. And so now that school has grown and grown and grown. Now when we got there to Montego Bay, we had 3 guys from Nebraska Christian College on their way. And they weren't to be in for 2-3 hours, so we went down to the Mega Mart. This is the Walmart kind of a store there in Jamaica. And these are relatively new. But I want to show you this picture. My wife says, no, there were not that many people checking us out. I says, yes, there were. There were 7 people checking us out. Normally you have a cashier and a bagger. But they had one kid loading and they had another 2 people unloading, and you had a lady that kept on saying, well, you need to block this out, correct that, and it just takes 4 people to run a cash register. And they had a manager that kept on initialing and taking her key and correcting every mistake that the newbie was trying to do on this. And your bill there, Mother, was $35,000 or $40,000 Jamaican. What was it?
What is that?
$35,000 Jamaican.
Jamaican.
And that sounds incredible, but it was 124 to the dollar, so it was like the $300 shopping order to do a little bit of shopping. And we didn't order chickens this time because we paid our cook Joyce, we paid for her own chickens, so we had fresh chicken, better than store-bought chicken. But these are some of the getting through the checkout stand, and then after we got through the Mega Mart, of course, whenever you go out to the bagger, you've got to have 2 baggers to go out because they expect 2 tips, Dan, of course. So my wife just split the tip between the 2 of them, and she went that way. If you're going to take 2 people to do one person's job, then we're going to give you half and half, and so that's what it was. The air conditioner died. We had about an 18,000 BTU air conditioner. It died the last day of school last session. And you can go by fans in the evening when it's cooler, but nighttime or daytime it gets sweltering, sticky hot. And so the guys went in, gave us a 24,000 BTU unit, split unit. And they left the old one in place. They didn't knock a hole in there. They just mounted above the old, and that's where they had to do it. And that's where they ended up doing it. And here's Clark and Roy Dell. He's one of our board members. And Roy Dell, that's Clevin's brother. Older brother, younger brother? Anyway, one of the brothers. He's only got 21 brothers and sisters. One dad and about 7 or 8 moms. But welcome to life. 2 moms? 21 kids, 2 moms, same dad? That's incredible. Anyway, we won't go there. But Clark was one of the guys came in and was teaching part of the team. Here's the outside unit, and the old unit's still sitting up over here, and there's a hose we took down. My wife says, Richard, get off that roof. I'm just taking the old drain hose off. It looked ugly. We didn't need it anymore. And they hooked up my old drain hose to this system, and it's running fine. It just cools. So we're back in the business again. I'm proud of this little thing here. You see this? Does anybody recognize this, Sharon? Where'd that come from?
Out here.
It was out here at her kitchen sink that's sitting back there. Clarice Johnson donated this faucet. And then whenever we put it in the commercial sink with that long faucet that goes to 3, this one wouldn't work. And the one over there, every time, it's only got a cold water thing, so I had to cap off the old one. But every time you turn the water on, the old faucet would run on you. And so you had to kind of hold the faucet to turn the crank on. And Joyce says, I can get my pots under here, I can get under, and she said, oh, this is so wonderful. And so we ended up plumbing this. But you see this drain here? You know where this drain goes? Overflow drain?
On the floor?
To nowhere. It just run over the back seat onto the floor of the cabinet. This one was hooked up. So I had to hook up a kind of a Coke bottle hanging on a wire hanger so that if any water goes over here, it goes in the Coke bottle instead of, one of those big liter bottles. So it goes in a liter bottle instead. So the sink ever overflows and splashes over, at least it goes in a liter bottle instead of rots out the furniture. They call me Mr. Fix-It. Don't mind me. This was neat. One of the matriarchs in the church, she was kind of like a Clarice Johnson. That was Winston Scott's mother, passed away, and she was the one that gave the where to, what for, to keep the preacher straight. And you always need some of the ladies to keep the preacher straight. And, and so this was donated in her memory. And we had this old rickety little lectern we'd haul upstairs anytime the guys were doing their test preaching. And so this is the new one. And the only thing is that you got in it, these guys are 6'3" tall. And so the thing came up to my chest, I'm 6 foot tall. So Diego, you'd be out of luck. I mean, you'd have to stand on a soapbox to talk off that thing. But they do this too, but they made this big lectern in her memory. This was a class, this was
Sweeney, Greg.
Greg Sweeney, another of the guys, and Deshaun, the kid from Mitchelltown, was back for his 3rd or 4th time, and some of the And Jason, the old weightlifter, he run with the guys every morning with our runners, and they'd be up to the crack of dawn. And our one lady graduates back, Primrose, and she's gone past diploma, should be graduating this next June with her associate degree. It's taken her a while. She went into culinary, but she's got her associate, and for some reason she loves English. Now this is great teaching his particular class, and you can see how this classroom, which was living room kitchen, how it was converted into a library and the desks. You see those desks? I told Sharon, since your school grew from 330 to 440 in the last few weeks, she says, help. I says, take every one of those desks. And we're either going to build flat ones, or we'll use one of those, we'll do something. And if we got those 300 other desks that we may adjust the legs up high, and we may just put them in here for the Learning Center. And put it.
Give us a dozen of those.
She's got to give us a dozen, or well, we could probably put 16 of them in here. But this seat, we can seat in here. It's close quarters where we got to eat here, and so we had to eat on the teacher's desk. So we ate on the teacher's desk here, and we ate on the back table there because we had 16 people we're feeding, and there's just no way you can jam 16 people around a table made for 8 where you jam in 10, but no way to put in 16. And the other desks, they have a slope, so you put your bowl of porridge or you put your soup on the thing, and it's sliding into your lap all the time. This was one of our evening sessions, our evening classes, and our Jamaicans advised us to begin night classes because all the schools in Jamaica are leading toward night classes. And we didn't do that years ago, we just had daytime only, and that was a big transition. Greg was teaching practical ministries, and some of them going through the book of Nahum, I believe.
That's Clark.
And so they did a New Testament and Old Testament. They were going through the book of Nahum and 1 John, and that's what they were doing through. These were some folk came in to eat with us. They were a part of our board people, from the board members. We had a 5-year agreement with the church. If we can continue using it, we've done improvements. We've just been paying utilities. It's cheap to pay utilities in own facility. And they agreed year by year to let us continue using it. Kind of the clout there is my wife brought the crew over from Grove Park to build this building in the first place. And so it's not that they're duty bound or any strings attached, but may we please use your building for another year. And going from there. This is lunch hour. One of the guys gave a devotional. These are our 3 American teachers that came in. My wife, I'm taking the picture. And this was some of the group of some of our ladies. This is one lady who's one of our elementary school teachers downstairs. She came up to one class and says, I like this. I'm coming back. And she came back and she came back. And then we were wanting to pull some of the teachers up. And we've had 6 and 8 of the teachers from downstairs in the classroom, especially when we run that Maxwell Leadership Training series. This was Ron Steer, gave a gift to these guys, gave a presentation to these guys, and he says, Jesus had his inner circle, you're like Peter, Andrew, and Peter, James, and John. And he said, Greg, you're like Peter, not that you're pretentious and always, but you're the take charge guy. And he likened James and John because he was so loving, and James because he was the fiery preacher. And they gave him, of course, the old world famous Jamaica tie. You see this tie I've got on? The Jamaica tie is based on this American tie. I borrowed the design, adapted it, and the tie's in several of the Jamaica gift stores. This is a different shot. This is the day session. This young man usually teaches over across the way, the 4-year-olds. And while he's in class taking theology 4 hours in the morning, my wife's over there enjoying the 4-year-olds, and so she's teaching for him. And so we've had some of the guys that were in class. Another gentleman, I have not seen him in 6-7 years from the Mandeville campus. He came part-time. He says, I got a job doing construction just a few blocks away. I'm coming to the night session all this week. So here he came out of the blue that we didn't even expect some students. Another student, we thought we'd have him. That big guy, Richard, the heavyset guy from it, never missed the last 2 sessions. But he's supposed to be back in this one. But this is your typical class meeting of these guys. We had a board meeting. Sandy and Winston are chairing the board, and this is some of the church staff and the college staff making decisions affecting the college. And one of our goals is to, instead of all the doors shut on buying land, and we've been given land that's, we can sell it, but it's not usable for college. It's a mile from the hard road, and it's a half a mile from utilities. And you imagine what you do running a half mile of water and a half mile of electricity and a half mile of a decent road and all the other stuff. It just didn't work out. So we're talking about moving the school back to Kingston and build back behind the current mission house. And that's being resurveyed and straightened out. And if we can build on their land. Now we were going to say we want to build a college. That didn't go. We want to build a multi-purpose building that can be used for the college when the college is there. It can be used for camp, it can be used for work teams, it can be used for medical teams, and other. Well, that was our intention. But to get the Jamaicans on board, to get excited about it, we talk about a multi-purpose evangelistic center. All of a sudden, hey, you do that. We say this is going to be exclusive for the college. They had one mission group that was using the facility, and they built a facility, and the facility is only used when they're there. 1 week every 3 or 4 or 6 months. Sometimes 1 week a year. And nobody gets to use it except that American mission team. And that to me is poor stewardship of the dollar. We look at this building, how the Spanish people use this building, and the barber shoppers use this building, and we use this building, and prayer group moves in, and CPR classes in here, and Alcoholics Anonymous, and all the Narcotics Anonymous groups that have used this building. We've had as high as 150, 200 people using this building in a week's time. And you think if you're going to be a stewardship of God's property, that's probably the best stewardship of God's property. Not just say we can only use it the 1 hour we're here, nobody else can use it. This is my wife with her little 4-year-olds. This was a last year's shot, not a this year's shot, but it's the same classroom. But they complained that these windows were piping hot. The sun was pouring through there, and you could just touch the counter and burn your hand. That's how hot it was, just searing glare coming through. So a lady teacher says, Mr. Fix-It, Brother Richard, can you hang a couple blinds? And the other teacher says, well, what about for my class? There are 4 blinds. And another teacher says, what about for my class? Well, me and Clark hung 4 blinds in 3 hours. It was 6 man-hours, got them hung. And we were out of blinds. And the brackets were not all there, so we had to do some fixing up too. We had to jury-rig some brackets to drill into concrete and a hammer drill, which I didn't have. And so we had to use a 3/8 and the hammer drill been better. But anyway, we got at least blinds into the classrooms and told the third teacher, you weren't in college class, so therefore, I said, no, I'm not going to make that criteria, but we ran out of blinds. Talked to Sister Sharon to go on from there. This is the facility. Remember those weeds? This was a classroom. They got 4 classrooms in Part A. And then they started adding Part B where they got 4 more classrooms. So now we've got 8 classrooms where we added 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade this year. Our panic is they're using adult chairs for the kids over there. She says, I need chairs, I need desks. Brother Richard, Sister Sandy, help. And this is the construction going on last session. And this is the construction going on last session. And you see the roof's finally being poured over the 3rd of the building. This section is like 5,800 square feet, number 1. And they're going to build a 2nd floor. They've been approved to do 2 floors. The foundation would do 3, and we want to do floor 3 for the college. 5,800 square feet would have been a pretty good sized college building, but they said they'd have to change everything through zoning and planning and all the other stuff. They got to get through what they're going to do before they can do anything more than they can do. This is 3 weeks ago, Dan. You see how they got this all on the roof? Now the inside is finished for 8 classrooms, and this is going to be 4 more classrooms. So it'll be 12 classrooms downstairs and more upstairs. But this is where it was as of 3 weeks ago in this particular shot in the progress. These are little kids, some of the kindergartners. They wear their nice little uniforms. This is the new section. You see these trapezoid tables? Last container we sent 90 of these in. Another shipment we sent down about 60 of these in. But these things are particle board. And the last shipment somebody punched a hole in our shipping container, and those things swelled up about this far.
Oh, yeah.
And we had to get rid of about 12, 15 of them, and only could steal the legs off and put them on plywood. But we were able to rescue about 75 of the 90 that we shipped down because of they punched a hole unloading it up the wharf. Apparently they came down with a container and came at an angle and just punched a hole in the top. Welcome to life. This is a current class group. This is recent. This is this year. These are the classrooms, and in the new section, they call it rending, where all the buildings have been cement block and rended and all ready to go. They've got concrete floor. They don't have tile floor. They got concrete, and they put a cedar on it. And this is that particular class. These are your older kids. This is something unusual. This is the 4th graders. We didn't have these older kids before. We just had those little rug rompers. Now, over at the Florida Christian College, I've got 12 bookshelves of these kind of books, double stacked. We're going to have to go over and load that up and get over to a Popka, put on this container. We had just as many books we loaded up yesterday from the church, loaded in the SUV to take over tomorrow afternoon for the container. And so these are some of the books, Biblical World, Josephus, and commentaries. Well, a lot of the stuff up above is all double stacked. These are some of the more of the teachers teaching and time passed with Mike teaching. Mike comes and teaches archaeology. He gives me I take his class, he gives me extra sets of notes, loans me the video, and we've been using his classes at our church for the last 7 or 8 years. Ever since he's been teaching, I take his class and I teach it here. You know this guy right here? He has taught Daniel, he has taught Jeremiah, he's taught Corinthians, he's taught Hebrews, he's taught Romans. What else haven't you taught, Dan? And Dan got into trouble. We're flying back to Miami. And I said, Dan, how long did it take you to prepare your class? You taught the 1 week in Jamaica. He says, 1 year. I said, man, you do a fine job in doing your class. He studies 1 year to do a 1 week class, 1 week seminar. I said, what a shame, what a waste. And so I said, Dan, would you teach that class at Northside? And he's been part of the fixture, part of our teaching staff ever since. He teaches Jamaica. We have him teach here in Northside. But he doesn't get through it in a week, do you, Dan?
No.
You see these ties?
Dan doesn't wear one of them.
You see this store here? Yeah, you're kind of proud you come up with these fancy ties when you get into your 900 printing, and you see they're selling it for $35 and $40 in the Jamaica stores. Man, I wish I could get that on my ties. I get them for $10 on or whatever. This is Glen teaching his fourfold gospel. This was this year's studies. This was Sunday worship. Glen with his class. This was one of our largest daytime classes we've had this whole year. Matter of fact, probably the last 2 years has been the largest daytime class we've had with Glen's class. And of course, Glen received his honorary, and Sandy received his master's. And these degrees were all through a Jamaica effort. This was some of the last sessions. Theophilus, one of our guys doing devotions. Gentleman here, his name is Kevin Short. He's 6 foot 5 inches tall, and they call him Short.
Kevin Short.
And he taught Corinthians some time back, and Peter, I believe. And this was a graduation we had at Mandeville. June 1st, we're going to have a similar graduation. We had 9 up for graduate, 6 walked. The other were either couldn't get off work or they were stateside. But we're planning about 8 to 10 graduates coming up this next June 1st to wind this batch down to finish the course. And some are going to run continued studies. This is Kevin with Roger Scott, the preacher, Peter Denby. One of the guys taught computer. This is at Kevin's church. And the reason I'm sharing you this picture, this Kevin Short with you, December the 5th, Kevin is going to be preaching here in this pulpit with us as our guest speaker. So Kevin is sharing with us, and he's going to meet our Jamaica board, and we are going to be grooming him this next year to take over the administration of the college. The old man used to be able to teach 6 hours a day in the college class. And now he's down to about 2 hours. I got to take a nap after teaching for 2 hours. Can't do it anymore. Yes, Morgan.
Sometime I'd like to see a map of where you are. Is this in Russia or where? Is it?
Jamaica.
I know it's in Jamaica, I'm just being smart.
Oh,
I'd like to see where it is.
We'll
What are
whoop
you
it out.
talking about?
We'll whoop it out here. But this is his wife Carla, and back here I was doing a mission presentation preaching, and this is during the song service. He preaches a congregation. It's called Alaska Christian Church. It's not in Alaska, it's right out of Indianapolis, Indiana, about 30 miles. It's a congregation of about 50, 75, but about 50 people make it on a regular basis. And he's got 5 children or 6 children, Sam? 6 children now. So they've got, she's just a tiny little thing, you know, he's a big guy. But he also works as an insurance adjuster, taking care of all these North Carolina hurricanes. So that's all he needs is one more part-time job. Kevin in the pulpit. This is that shipment I was sharing with you that Joe Ryan had stacked and stored.
That's where the college is.
This is 375 chairs. You see all these chairs piled up here, the small ones, and the medium ones, and the large ones? Sharon said she needed 300 chairs. We're shipping down, I pulled some out of the church shed, we've got about 400 chairs going. And the container, that was 3 years, the last time we did a container, it took us 3 years to get the container, get it loaded, get it shipped. Joe's hoping to do it in 30 days. I'm looking more like 90 days. If we can get it in by first of the year, we'll be doing good, because we got to offload some other stuff and get that in on this shipment. And but this is the container, and I like the looks. It looks almost new. It doesn't look, the other one was a little well worn, but this one looks like a pretty sharp light new unit. Here's the chairs already stacked in the new container. This is being shipped. This is coming in on his truck, all on pallets. Originally we were going to ship out 19 pallets at $700 a pallet. It's going to be about $14,000. The container was $2,000, and shipping is going to be about $3,700, plus the cost of contents. We've already got $2,000 worth of contents. So we're looking at about $6,800, $7,000. But the whole shipment, if you put a new value to it, you're running probably $25,000, $30,000 worth of stuff going down there for that much. It's just by buying things used. He paid $2.12 for these desks. This is a trailer of these desks all piled up, getting loaded up, and you see all these cubicles. All those books are going to get stuck inside those slots. And this is where we're going to be the next week. This is our display. We set up a display. Somebody said that when you set up a display, you cannot set up a science fair cardboard display you pay $10 for. And over the years, we put up a nice professional display with professional batters. We always have the central of the Jamaica flag and these little rubber things. You can't take these on the plane with you, but they sure come in handy when you're on your feet for 3 days. And our place has become the meeting place, but this is the corner we had next to this Christian book place. And we set up you notice these chairs? These are the folding chairs. They supply folding chairs. Have you ever sat in a folding chair for 3 days? Feel your pain. So we got our canvas thing with a little drink dealie on there. And this time we're going to be at Cincinnati. Dan Smith and Jonah from Ottumwa won't be with us. But Kevin Short and Carla are coming in from Indianapolis as part of our team. And I've got him teaching the book of James. He's coming in the February-March session. And so he'll be with us feeling his Wheaties. And he's been down to Jamaica. He's taught twice already, so he's not a total stranger to it. And I did, the reason we were looking at this young man, Kevin, Christian Standard, he's 43 years old, but 10 years ago or better, Christian Standard looked at among the best upcoming young preachers in the 30 years of age and younger group coming up. And Kevin in Christian Standard was selected as the top 10 American preachers in the whole of America.
Really?
So if you get a guy that's been selected as the top 10 upcoming young men of capability, hey, I hope he does a whole lot better job of me than we could ever do. You just hope you can live up to his reputation. That's Jamaica. You pray for us. We go as your servant and as your extension. And we also say this is your mission dollars at work too. And every dollar you put in ends up turning into a score of dollars as far as in productivity. And we try to get the best stewardship of God's ministry that He's put upon us in our hearts. Brother Glen.